Hello again, I'm Larry Hamilton. Welcome to my YouTube painting channel. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to do a watercolor painting, and it's a scene from New England, I believe. It's sort of like a boatyard scene. There's a big building with a lot of debris around and construction materials. There's a little sailboat in the middle ground and water in the foreground. So I'm going to try to do it justice today, and hopefully you'll like it. I've got the painting, the photograph that I'm using as a model here, and I have my value map, as I always do, to sort of help me keep the values in check. And I have my sketch already on my paper. I am going to take a few seconds and try to get some of the graphite off. I did this on, this is 22 by 15. It's a half sheet of watercolor paper. It's Fabriano Artistico watercolor paper, 300-pound watercolor paper. So it's heavy, like I like to paint on. So I did the sketch on a large piece of tracing paper and worked out all the angles using my grid method. You can barely see the grid here. I'll overlay that when I edit the video. And that the sketch will be on my website, but I got a lot of graphite here that transferred, so I'm going to just take a few seconds and take some of this off so that it's not quite so prevalent. I don't want a lot of graphite showing through in the final painting, but I did want you to see the sketch here as much as possible. This graphite, you really can't even get it all off. I could scrub on it for a long time and it wouldn't come off, but I'm using a kneaded eraser, and probably when I get done here I will still be able to see this sketch, but you may not. It's pretty well gone away, so when I look at my monitor back here I can tell that it's really not there for you very well. I'll actually be zooming in here and getting set up for there. You can see it faintly there, but it's pretty much gone. So I take a lot of that graphite that's from the transfer paper. I take it off with a kneaded eraser and leave enough of the shapes there that I can tell where the main objects are. This is a lot of objects in this painting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 buildings, a boat, water, trees in the background. So may take me a little longer than usual, but so be it. I want to show you my brushes and paints. As usual, I'm using my Sterling Edwards set of bristle brushes, small, medium, and large. Here I also have a couple of flats, a 1-inch flat, a 1/2-inch flat, a few rounds. I have a number 12 round, number 8 round, and number 4 round. And I have a couple of small rigger brushes here that I use from American Painter. I may not use all these brushes, but I have them available, and I just wanted to show those to you. Now let me go around the palette very quickly. I'll go over my paints again. Most of you who follow me know this, so you can skip ahead if you want, but I'll go through this for those who are here maybe for the first time. These are My Mary Blue Italian transparent watercolor paints. This going around the palette here, this is neutral tint, primary cyan blue, ultramarine blue, ultramarine violet, crimson lake, primary red magenta, cadmium red, burnt sienna, raw sienna, yellow ochre, cupric green, sap green, lemon yellow, primary yellow, burnt umber, still to grain brown, and Auvergne orange. I have a couple other paints over here which I may not use. This is lamp black and titanium white, both of which are apparently legal to use. At least the titanium white is legal to use on transparent watercolors. And I probably won't use it, but if I do, I have it. So let me get started here, and we'll I want to start by wetting down the paper with one of my big brushes here. I'll use this medium brush and just get some clear water, and we'll just start wetting the top of this paper. I want the sky and the trees to sort of blend together as much as possible. This paper holds a lot of water, but I don't put as much water in it as I could or maybe should, primarily because I'm painting vertically. The water tends to run like crazy down the paper here anyway, so I'll just get it damp and it'll give me some nice soft edges. I'm modifying the painting a little bit from the sketch. I'm going to actually show some background here in the distance. There's a little water line I'm going to show here, or horizon line, and that will wrap around into the water that's down here in the foreground. Pretty well wetting most of this with a certain amount of water. We'll come back and have to wet it some more, I'm sure, but at least I want to get it pretty damp. I'm leaving this building out so far. But, okay, so you see all that paint on there? That's just, can't tell anything's happened. It's all just clear water. So, fortunately, I didn't have any dirty paint in my brush when I started that. Sometimes you end up with a little tint on your painting that you don't like. I'm going to put in just a touch of raw sienna here in the background. Not much, but just a little whiff here and there. Raw sienna seems to add a nice little golden touch to the background of paintings, and it really doesn't turn your blues real green. So when you put in your sky, this photo had basically a white or gray sky, pretty much. Didn't have much of a sky in it at all, really. So I'm just going to pop in some loose colors here, very abstract. I'm going to try to keep this as abstract as possible. And you'll notice when I put that blue over there, over that raw sienna, even though that raw sienna looks kind of yellowish on the paper, it really didn't turn it green, which is kind of nice. It's pretty light for you to see, I'm sure, but let's just kind of pop it down, put in just a little my alizarin here, or crimson lake. Change the color just a little as I get down toward the horizon. Come on, give me some more blue there. There we go. Right in here. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Kind of cut it off and let it blend together. Maybe a little more up here, some other spots, but pretty much that's all I want to do with that. If I keep going back in and messing with it, it'll make it worse. So leave it, leave it, leave it. Stop. So you have to. Now this the tree row here is really fairly dark, and I'm going to pick up my sap green, and I'm going to pick up my ultra blue, kind of darken it down, give myself some darker tree colors, maybe a little of this violet in there. I'm using this big medium brush. It's like a 1.5 inch brush. So keep it loose, keep it fast. I'm going to kind of run some of this off at the top of the paper here. A little darker than that maybe as I come down. This really should be dark. If you see my my value map there, it was really very dark. So I paint along this edge here of the roof line, keeping it out of the roof. Leave some air holes for the birds to fly through. So this is this bristle brush here that's just giving me some very nice soft edges because the paper's wet. I'm going to paint around the chimney here. May need a smaller brush here. Let me get this little, while I'm at it, I'll just come in and put in some paint around this little chimney here. So I at least have it squared up and painted around so I don't have to worry about it later. Okay, that's good enough for that. Come back and get some more darks, blues. Change the color up. I have some interesting colors blending here, which is nice. I'm painting around a post here that's got a light sitting on it. And also paint around this mast. Comes down here. Maybe get my other brush out, and since I need a little more room here, just kind of come around this guy like that. Coming down the mast, I'm just painting negatively now. Very loose, like that. Same colors on the other side of that mast, so we don't something up here. Hopefully that's going to give me the kind of look that I want. Over here, we're just going to sort of rub in some darker colors. Let it sort of fade into the background back there. Don't want to have sharp edges if I can keep from it. Another building to paint around here. Okay, so I'm just getting some nice, interesting shapes here that look like trees. I can put another coat over it if I want, but it's just really a lot of foliage back there that's just sort of sticking up, and like that. Come over here. I still got some more to do over here. Another chimney to go around. Get my smaller brush out and sort of paint him in here. Go between this building and the chimney. Something like that. Very fast, very loose. Add some darker colors, come in and tone it down a little bit. It's supposed to be very dark. Another building over here, like that. Okay, that may still be too light. I may have to come back and put a little more darks in some spots in there, but right now I'm gonna leave it alone, let it dry off a little bit, and we'll see if we can move on to something else. Paint down by this. We do have more grasses here in the front, but the ones in the back, the vertical shapes, the trees in the back, should always be darker than the the horizontal shapes that are going to be here in the grass in the front. So let's make sure we do that. I see a spot here I can square off with my flat brush. Okay. All right. Not too bad. Come back and pick up some darker colors and maybe lay a few darker shapes in here to bring it forward. Anything I can do to put another layer of darker paint over one behind it will help me add depth to this painting. I'm really trying to paint over my mast here. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. There's a lot of thick woods back here, so I'm just sort of mixing up my colors, my blues, my dark greens. In here I left an area out that's really goes along here like this, across the top of this roof like this. I can see that, but you might not be able to. Over here, we'll come down and have another. Something like that. Put some more darks up here above this roof line. It really needs to be darker. So I'm just putting another row of trees in here. It's starting to dry now in the background a little bit. I can feel it on the brush. Paint on this side, same dark, same color. If you do this, it will definitely make that all be the same value plane there if I paint around it like that, so that it's otherwise if I cut it off and have a different color on the other side of that little pipe sticking up, it's going to look funny, and you're going to think I just stuck it in there by mistake almost. I actually have some a few trees here. They're like little pine trees or something like that. Since this is in the New England area, northeast of the United States, they do have pine trees and evergreen trees, that sort of thing, that would be sticking in here, sticking up, something like that. And then just sort of we'll blend it in with what's below it with our bigger brush here. So we can just sort of pop in some other things that look like they're trees out here. Blend it all together. Just try not to make it try not to paint every tree individually is what I'm trying to say. Make it look like there's a lot of different trees in here. So because I'm painting over that that's starting to dry, now you're seeing depth. You see trees behind, see trees in front. And it's still fairly damp. Actually, when I'm going over this, it's still fairly damp in here. Some of these are deciduous trees, so I'll round those off and make them more rounded, less pointed. But yet we still want some of these pine trees to stick up darker here. So I'm trying to get it as dark as I can behind this building, because that's what's helping make this building stand out. Dark blue, violet, gives me some nice dark colors. Okay, something like that. Pop in a few more darks over here. Getting some nice dry edges over there. Okay, so I don't want that to be all I don't want it to be too much detail in it, is what I'm trying to say. I want it to sort of stand out, have some nice broken edges at the top. Will help you think we've got some trees that are maybe closer. Just hitting with the side of this brush now very lightly. Over here, we'll put a few over this way, stick them out into the water area, something like that. Come up from here, okay. All right, I think that's my good dark shape there that I want to stick behind these buildings. Okay, now that's our first few minutes, and kind of like the way that's looking so far. I've got another value shade of green here that's sort of in this, around the building. I'm going to pick up some of my yellow, it's lemon yellow here. Got too much green in my brush there. And sort of want to pull this together in the foreground here, or in the middle ground, I guess it would be. We're going to put in some, this all comes down to the water edge. Mix it up, little darks, few lights. Quite a bit of green in this painting. Paint around the top of this boat here. Okay, probably can't see that, but that's what I'm doing. I'm painting around the top of this boat down to the cabin. Have some posts sticking out here that I'm trying to paint around. Have a front of the boat here has a, okay, something like that. Okay, so I'm outlining behind the boat, keeping it maybe some smaller bushes in here, smaller trees, some dark in here. Keep it nice and dark around behind us, these buildings here. So I'm giving another coat here where it's starting to dry out a little bit. I'm actually putting in some more trees. Neat trick here that I've learned in my workshops is when this starts drying out behind there, you can actually start carving out trees. Again, it's negative painting by just putting in some dark shapes in here like this. You can actually make trees appear by what you're not painting. And you can keep going over this as many times as you want to make these things appear. And even when they look like they're finished, you can actually sometimes put another layer of dark over what's already there, and it will actually put another layer inside, actually. Maybe it's a little hard for you to see that, I don't know, but I'm just sort of putting in a dark, something like that, that gives me the appearance of some darker, some things going up into the trees. The other little trick you can use is if the paper is just the right amount of wetness, you can actually use something like a knife and scrape out I'm using a razor blade, a thin razor blade, but you can use a credit card, you can use a knife, but as long as that paper is the certain amount, right amount of wetness, you can actually carve those trees in with a knife like this or with a blade. If it's too wet, it just fills back in and goes right over where you just had the knife, but the blade. If it's the right amount of wetness, it'll scrape it out and leave it white. It's too dark or too wet, it'll fill back in. If it's too dry, it will actually not do anything. Right there, I just did it there. That's all dry, you can't see it. There's the same case. So you have to have the right amount of wetness in your paper, so that takes some experience to practice that. But there's ways to create more trees by putting darker values around the trunks. So I'm just leaving some areas here that look like they've got some other trees and branches and things that are sticking up. Not trying to paint a bunch of trees or specific tree. I'm just sort of giving you an impression that there's trees back here that go up into this woods and are part of what you're looking at here. So that's something like this helps fill in these spaces so they're not, it's giving me another layer of paint, another layer there that I'm able to show you. Here in the foreground we got some other colors we're going to start bringing up, and I'm going to flick in a few tall grasses here, just with this side of my flat brush. And this all comes over here. It's about the same color. I'm going to get some more of that lighter green in there. Pick up some of that lemon yellow. We got boards and all kind of stuff here, and I can actually paint around if I want to show some debris and that sort of stuff laying here, which I will do in a little bit. Right now, put a little ochre in this to give me a little bit different color. I don't like just painting everything the same color. I like to change it, vary as much as you can think of, as my friend Tony Couch used to say. Vary everything you can think of. I have debris and boards laying here. Here's a board I'm going to paint underneath. Okay. Paint on the other side of it here. Ochres. And on this side, same thing. Okay, so I've got a little runway. There's a set of boards here that actually are used to pull the boats up into this building when they're repairing them. And so I'm trying to leave that for you. And see if I can get some more of this lighter yellow over here. I'm going to lighten it up even more, make it brighter yellow here if I can. Painting around a lot of stuff here. I've got another boat that's on a rack here. I'm going to paint around a little ladder that's sitting there. So this is all very just sort of abstract and not trying anything specific other than I want to show you these things that I'm painting around here. Come on, brush, stick together for me. All right, so I have another boat here that's sitting on stilts, and I have a ladder beside it, and I have a bunch of stuff back here in the background that's okay, so I've got the main building left. I've got the other buildings, side buildings. Paint around this boat, it's pretty much all white. A lot of stuff here that looks like debris and wood and stuff. I'll throw some other colors in there to sort of pull that together. Okay, that's pretty much all of my greens. A lot of green in this, probably too much, but trying to be close to the original photo as possible, although I'm trying to make it as abstract as possible too. All right, let's get some of this paint out of the palette here. I got a lot of stuff built up. I'm going to start changing now to some of my browns. Let's get this out of here. Okay, there we go. All right. That will give me something to work with now. Okay, so now we got this building. Got some white roofs here that are fairly white anyway. I'm going to probably darken them up a little bit so they're not quite so stark white. I've got a white post here I've kind of kept available, and I've got this other mast that's off of this boat. So let's see. Let's start getting some. I'm going to try some of this still to grain brown here. Very beautiful brown color. That's one color I want. I'm going to add a little blue to that over here, and we'll turn it into sort of a gray. Ultra blue and brown. Any brown, burnt sienna, still to grain brown, burnt umber. Any brown will start giving you a gray. See how that turned to gray? And you can make it more blue than gray by putting more blue in it, or you can make it more brown gray by putting more of the brown color in it. So I've got this brown that's kind of on the side of the building. I've got the gray that's sort of on the front. And I've got this sort of a lavenderish color that's I'm going to put on the roof to make it stand out a little bit, so that it's not quite so stark white. Okay, so where to start? Okay, this is all nice and dry up here, so I'm going to start with this roof here. Okay, just that much. Dry out the brush. Use it and just pull down. Color. Dry it out. Okay. These other little buildings back here have a bit of a roof on them that's sort of grayish. At least this one does. And one in front, I've got actually 3 that are all white that kind of run together. So I'm going to change the color here so you can see a little bit difference in the roofs that are back here. This is sort of a lean-to that's on the side of the house, of the building back there. And some gray. Try a little bit of my burnt umber and blue. See what I can get out of that, what kind of gray I can get out of that. Back here I've got sort of a needs to be darker. Okay. I need a smaller brush here. I need to get my 1/2-inch brush out. Try to keep the paint the largest brush I can paint with and still get the job done. Another quote from Tony Couch. What size brush are you using? I'm using the largest brush I can get by with and still get the job done. Okay, so there's a couple buildings back there. One's got a white roof, the others have a little bit different color roof. This is inside, back in here, a bit different color. Has a big post holding everything up here. Okay, something like that. Dark value under the roof there. I'm actually letting it run together, getting a little blending and blurring of the edge. This is going to be like a gray post. Pick up a little of my neutral tint, which start giving a little bit darker colors. Under here, I want this to get fairly dark. So I'm going to put in areas that are, and I'm painting around support posts that are actually holding this building up. Again, you probably can't see that, but I know they're there. And we'll have a few little things like this that help. This is dark back here. Probably some boards laying out there. Yeah, that helps maybe define that a little better. It's a little bit too wet to mess with, but I'm gonna have to change that a little bit. It's I can put a darker value on this side here to make it stand out. Okay. Let's take this same dark color while we got it and keep going across here at the bottom. Underneath, there's some dark places under here behind the boards. There, we've got some dark spots under here as well that sort of show the, got something giving a shadow there. Okay. A few other marks in here to help me define the lay of the land. Okay, now this building here, the side of this building here, is about that color. Change it up, don't keep it all the same color, but Comes down to about there with, and then it's got some and I want to pull it up from the bottom to give it this changed color with the dark and the blue. They sort of come up from the bottom like this, and then they sort of fade into that brown. So you get a nice change of color from warm to cool. Nice gradiated panels here. Okay, now side over here, the front of this building is more gray than it is brown, probably because it's had more sun and whatever on it. So let's see what we can do with that. Coming down like this. Change the color, don't paint too many square inches with the same color. Change it up. Got some windows in here I just painted over. Right in there. Leave some room for those. Pick a little brown up and put in there maybe, here and there. Another window right here. There's a sign right there. I'm leaving some rough texture in here to make it look like there's some old boards that are sort of dried up. It's a window. The other side over here, I'm going to get some more on this side. I'm going to get some more of this gray. Ooh, that's looks like black to me. Put water in it. Spread it out. Room for the sign in here. Where's that sign? Well, the sign's down further. Down right here. Okay, so we got gray, 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 gray. Neutral tint and water. Okay. So just popping in some different colors, throwing in a little bit of that brown in here. Tie it together so it's not all one color. Okay, so I got a nice rustic front on that building. You get some, this eave here has to be a little darker. And change it to the brown side as we come around here. But make it darker, darker. And it's pulled down a little bit because it's a shadow. Okay. I think the sun is either coming, whatever light there is coming from the back, I think, in this case. So it's kind of in a silhouette type of environment here. Okay. And just sort of blend that out a little bit with some clear water. This window is going to be darker. Actually, we've got more of this gray here underneath this sign. This part of this is, I think, a sliding door or a door that opens up somehow. Make it a little bit different color. Okay, let's let you see there's something different there about that. It's not exactly like the rest of the wood. Put this in there. Okay. All right. Nice rustic looking building. Now, come back and get a little more of this violet color. See if we can pop in another roof back here. I should make that a different color. It shouldn't be the same. That's the side of the roof of that building back there. And it happens to have a sort of a green color on it. There's a bit of a dark value. I'm using this 1/2 inch brush for about all this so far. Under here, there's a little area of dark shadow between these buildings. Got a little post in there that holds everything up. There. You can see that very well, but pull that together a little bit with some of that yellow. Okay. Got a white building. Got more of this gray. This gray building is over here. I'll leave a part of my roof stick out there. Change the color. Okay. Leave that alone, I think. All right, we've got a bluish green color here for the front of this building. I wouldn't have to copy it exactly, but I'm going to put some okay, little door back there going into that building. All right, making some interesting things going on there. Okay, this boat, back of this boat has sort of a don't know what that color is, but I'm going to make it sort of a light brown, sandy brown, if I can get a sandy brown color here. A little ochre maybe, and right in here. It's the back of that boat. A few little things up here like that. That's just kind of sitting there waiting to be worked on, I guess, or maybe it's been worked on and who knows, waiting for its owner to come by and pick him up. I don't know. Make up a story. Down here is going to be darker. A couple of posts that this thing sits on. Fairly dark. Okay. More dark down here. Let's see, that's a board. This little area here is a ladder of some sort. Put him in. All right. These boards here on the front, I'm going to use a little of this still to grain brown and sort of paint those in. I can just slide them down here into the water. I have a dark side on them, a shadow side. Something like that. Hard to see. Make another dark across here. All right, that's starting to look pretty good. All right, now, so that's a little tight. I actually have it probably tighter than I would like to have done, but sometimes I get into these things and I just have to paint stuff that a looser painter might leave unpainted. Some boards back here that I'm going to paint in and under. All right. We got some other boards laying around here that are just sort of laying out here in the grass. Okay, that looks like there's something there. Okay. Get some of these bright spots out of there. Put a little gray in it. Now, I want that to be lighter there, just so you can see the posts that are holding stuff up. Yeah. This little post is sort of... All right, now this area here, it's dried out now. I'm going to try to make it a little darker so that it tells you there's a change of plane. You heard me talk about the change plane accent. That's what that's supposed to represent, where the plane of one side of the building and the other side of the building this way, when that plane goes out of the light, you have this shadow that sits up here, and it's called the plane change accent. So it's usually darker right at the edge and then sort of lightens up as it goes back. So when your art teacher asks you if you know what a plane change accent is, you can tell her. You heard it here. All right, I think I'm going to stop in that area right now, let it cool down, dry out. Put in a few windows here, there and there. Up here we got a little light window going on. There, this chimney is sort of that same color. It's a light silver. So we'll just put him up there like that and leave him a little dark on this right side here. A little bit darker. If I can get it darker. Don't want to mess with it too much. Okay. This other little chimney over here is more of a reddish color. I'm going to pop a little bit of this cad red into my burnt sienna and pop this little guy in. Okay, darker on the back side, so we'll pick up a little shade darker and sort of connect him here. Didn't get darker, did it? Amazing how that works. There we go, a little bit of dark in there. Actually more paint came out of my brush than I thought. This little sky over here, this roof over here is going to be light with a same with this. And those windows are going to have a slight blue tint to them. Just let you see what's going on there. Okay, don't want to do much more than that. Slight glaze over this boat here, like that. Leave a little highlight. This sign up here is really standing out now. I just put a light tone on it. I'm going to come back and put in some things that look like the guy's name and so forth on there. Okay, the boat over here, we got this light. I'm just using this little brownish, or not brown, but grayish browning color that's got a little purple in it. Here I'm going to just lighten this thing up a little bit, this post. This is post that's meant to just hold this light up out here, I think. And we'll try to darken the back side of him a little bit. Not very dark. Pick up a little brown, put in there. Okay. The boat has a little bit of a dark opening here that, my brush is probably too big for that even. Maybe I can do it this way. If you can see that or not, but that's the opening that goes down into the hold of the boat. I'm going to pull this color that I used up here. That's that reddish brown. I'm going to put a stripe on this boat right here. using my number 4 round. Okay, and then underneath that, we've got some darker colors. Basically, it's that reddish color, but it's under here, darker than that. It's out of the light. Let's put some more brown in it, a little more burnt umber. Yeah, it sort of goes along like this. Okay. I haven't painted a boat yet. I'm just painting around the boat. Here's the back end. It sort of has a bit of a darker at the top, maybe, or let's see. Okay. Let's see here, do I have a camera stop on me? Wow. No wonder. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties here since I'm the cameraman. One of my cameras actually ran the battery down because I failed to have it plugged in all the way, apparently. Okay, we're going now. All right, let's stop for a second and look at this. Get back and take a walk back. Analyze the painting. Does have a lot of green for sure. Okay. What was I doing? Working on the boat over here. Okay, let's put a little bit of this lighter color. Lighter. Okay, that's that color. Let's get some gray. Pop out here. Have a fairly muddy palette. It's going to have a lot of water in it. It's going to be like that. These posts are almost the same color. Put them in there. And we've got some boards and stuff that sort of come back along here, like a makeshift dock of some sort. And it actually runs back into this area. That's what these things are supposed to represent here. Okay. There are some dark posts and things on this. I lose my, in here I have a beam. I have another beam up here somewhere, about right in here. About like that, I think. And there's a bunch of lines that come down. If I can do this. So it's supposed to be done with the rigger. That's what these little rigger brushes are for, making rigging lines. But they're going to have to be dark because I've got to paint over what's there instead of white. So I'm going to see if I can make a big swooping line to come down here like that. Not perfect, but get more color in there. Something like that. Just, there's tons of lines, they're all white, but I'm not making them all white. Hopefully you can see that. It's really kind of hard, I'm sure, for you to see it. I'm just using some neutral tint and making these lines fairly dark. And there's a bit of a place where the sails are wrapped up here in this area. It's got too much purple in it. There, here, another area up here. It's got some sails wrapped in it. Wrapped around this post. Mast, I should call it. And it gets sort of spread out down here. Okay, I don't know if you can actually see that or not on here very well, but it's looking halfway decent up close. I'll leave this boat alone. I think I'm about ready to put the water in. That'll be about my last step here. I'm going to put just a little shade on this roof there. Take out some of these whites. We got a lot of little white spots here that I prefer not to have to deal with. There, over here, we're going to have this water coming down here, through there like this. Paint right over these things. As long as I don't go over them 2 or 3 times, I won't pick up that paint that's under it. So I want to make sure I outline this boat. I'll do that now while I've got this brush in hand. Okay, let's see if we can, I don't know if that made a good distinct horizon line back there. I want that to be straight. Okay, something like that. Clear water. Now we're going to, matter of fact, I'm going to get my bigger brush, my medium brush, clear water, and we're going to re-wet this whole area here. I got some color in that brush for whatever reason. Okay, so we're going to just wet it like very close to this bank, and it's going to make that water really look nice. Got it all over my board here. So if you just wet that, this is a trick for making water look real. Make sure you're painting wet into wet is the key. So I'm going to come back and pick up some of this color that I got here that has some blue in it, has some lavender in it. I'm just going to start putting some sweeping marks across here. It's in this put some of the brown in there up here that sort of reflects down what's above it. It's hard to see that, I'm sure, but this type of fast and the colors that you want to reflect, you want to pull those down, make vertical streaks like this. That's what tells you what's reflecting. Right here into this boat, I'm going to put a little bit of a reflection. Maybe even pick up some of this yellow and green color I had there. Pull a little bit of it down. Come on, give me some green there. It's these vertical streaks, folks, that make it look like water. Very soft, very loose. This thing is going to have a reflection. It's going to go like this, like that. This post is going to be almost straight up. Okay. See how quickly I finished that off with just very minimal brush strokes here. Got some water running down here. Probably want to put just a little more reflectivity right in here. Not so much white going on there. Okay. And if you don't do much else with it, you'll leave it alone. That will dry very nicely to a nice looking water. It's got some life in it. This area up here looks a little bit, it needs a little something. It's there, it's better. Okay. These are coming down into the water as well. They're like kind of, if they have any reflection at all, it's going to be the opposite angle of this. Again, once I go over it a couple of times, I'm making it worse. So don't fiddle too much. I'm going to take a dry brush, and I'm going to take my 1/4 inch flat and get it very dry. And I'm going to come across and put in some horizontal streaks here that lift out the paint. That's another slight trick. If you put the horizontal streaks over the vertical streaks, you tell the story even better of this being sort of smooth, sort of a bay here that's just where they can get back in here and get their boat worked on and get out of town. Okay, now got pretty much done here. This area here I want to put in some calligraphy. It's actually, guy's got his name in there. It's actually a boat builder from, I think it's somewhere in the Northeast, but I'm not gonna Okay, so it says H.A. Burnham, designer builder. And I just kind of blur it over. I don't want it to stand out. Anything that's got text like that will draw the eye to it, which is not what I want to happen. So I'm leaving it, consciously leaving it abstract. I'll put a few lines in these windows up here. This window's got a lot of dark in it. I'm going to just go ahead and paint him in. there. These other windows have a few defining lines in them. Something like that. Don't want to make it look like a jail. So I'm just putting in now what you would call the calligraphy marks, I guess. Sort of telling you how these boards go. So I'm just a lot of little light detail stuff here that sort of help amplify this. Change the color. Thin lines, thick lines. These are sort of running horizontal up here in the top. See if I can make that a little better defined up there. I don't know if I did or not, but it helps somewhat. There might be a slight shadow here. One over the windows here. Just so we don't have a lot of rectangles and try to minimize the rectangles. There's a little roof back here. So I'm just sort of giving you a very loose impressionistic look at these. All right, I think it's close to, this is not dry at all down here yet, but I'm going to get my small brush, just a few things to help put some weeds and stuff down here in the water area. There's some even darker. I'm going to get some just darker brown in there. Make it look like there's a bank of some sort here. This is my burnt umber. It'll give a nice dark bank here. I want to make sure this is see that. I think that's helping. It's making it look more like they're connected to the water. Change the color, pull some other things up over here like this. A lot of weeds and junk. So this is a little bit bright over here. I'm going to darken it down just a little so it doesn't draw your eye over there too much. And I think I'm going to stop. A lot of weeds. All right. Some back here maybe. Okay. Let's take a look at that now and see. Okay. So where does your eye go? My eye kind of goes like right to this place. I'm not crazy about that. So what do? Tone it down. I don't want that little L-shaped piece to be necessarily the focal point. A little bit too dark. Let's just tone it down a little bit. Didn't tone it down too much. I want it to be a different color than what's above it or below it. But put a few streaks in here. The roof. All right. Okay, this kind of looks like a place you could pull in and have your boat worked on. I don't know how good this builder is, but certainly he's in business to repair boats. Putting a few things here to sort of, and then I just want to blur it like that. Okay, you see how that worked? Just put in a few things that sort of come down like this, and then just sort of run the paper towel over them very quickly, and it just sort of blurs them in a little bit so that at least there's something like that. This part here is actually the mast. Let me see here. Do I want to mess with that? I got some white here. Let me try some of this titanium white and see what happens. It's got to be like this right here. This one sort of goes back that way. And there's some white from the boat here. So I'm putting a little titanium white here and just sort of letting it blend in. Down, down. Too much. All right, I think that'll do it. There might be another place or two over here where you could throw in a few vertical white things that kind of help reflect what's going on above it. All right, folks, I think I'm going crazy here with this now. I think I'm going to stop. It's too wet for me to sign, but I think I'm going to leave it at that. I say that just as I see I want to put a little bit of a shadow along these boards here. There and here. Okay, that helps give that a little bit of a three-dimensional effect. Pull it down. Okay. Stop, stop, stop. Okay, I think I am going to back up here and say, I hope you like this painting. I hope you give a chance to give it a try, and let me know how you do. Follow me on Facebook and check my website out. The sketch for this will be on my website in a day or two as I get the video edited. By the time I upload it, I'll have the sketch on my website. And they're a little hard to find, but you go into the free lessons page, and on that page I have a link for every video I've created. And at the end of the link for the video, there's a word sketch. And if you look for that, if I have a sketch, it will be behind that link. So if you have any other questions, please put them in the comments, and hope you give it a try. And until I see you again, this is Larry Hamilton saying so long for now. Bye-bye.